Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
What were you doing 38 years ago? Some of you may have just been a twinkle in your father's eye, as my mom would say. But those who were alive 38 years ago, how old were you? What if you'd had an accident and become disabled 38 years ago? How would your life have been different? Of course, today we have accessibility laws, ramps, wheelchairs, and all sorts of gizmos and gadgets to help disabled people live more independently. Even so, it would be a difficult life, wouldn't it? And back in Bible days, it would be much worse. You'd be totally dependent on family and friends to get around. You'd probably have become a beggar. And have you ever seen pictures of what the temple looked like? Disabled people would not have been able to get up all those stairs. And even so, it's debatable if they would be allowed in the temple at all. I've read that some scholars say that handicapped people were kept from worshiping in the temple due to some sort of extraneous law. They were excluded religiously and socially. But Jesus loved them and used their disabilities as a way to reach them and others. When Jesus came to Jerusalem, he often stayed with his friend Lazarus and his sisters in Bethany. On his way to Jerusalem with other pilgrims on that road, perhaps he and his disciples sat down by the pool of Bethesda in John 5:1-7 to wash themselves or rest. And that's when they saw this man. Jesus, knowing the man's background, knew he had been disabled for a long time. In fact, Jesus knew both the condition of his body and his heart. The Bible says a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, and paralyzed, lay around this pool. Jesus could have healed them all, but he chose this one man. We don't know why. What made this one man different? I'm sure he wasn't the only one laying there hopeless, helpless, feeling discarded and hurting. Maybe he'd been there the longest. Maybe he was the one Jesus knew would obey him. Or maybe it just showed his grace. Jesus approached the man unsolicited and unexpected, and asked what sounds like a pretty dumb question. Do you want to be made well? Now the lame man didn't know who Jesus was. He may never have heard of him. He had no idea that this guy was the only one on earth who would have the power to heal him. Besides, he was so focused on his disability that he didn't think anyone could help him. He didn't really answer Jesus' question. He said, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." In other words, my only hope is getting into this water, and I can't do it on my own. He acknowledged his own helplessness and hopelessness. And that's when Jesus healed him. More on that tomorrow. Isn't it such a great comfort that Jesus knows every problem we have, whether physical or spiritual? Even when doctors can't diagnose a problem, God knows, and He cares. There's no situation or circumstance that He can't work through. Even if He doesn't heal our body or clear up our problem, He knows exactly what we need when we need it. He can give us the faith that we need to trust that He's in control. He sees, He knows, and He wants to help. But like Nicodemus, the Samaritan woman, the disciples, and this man, who were all so focused on the natural that they couldn't fathom the supernatural, we might get so attached to our problems, we might complain to God and others, but fail to ask for help, because it just seems too impossible. But when we come to Him, acknowledging our helplessness and His power, that's when He will heal us spiritually. And who knows what He'll do to help us physically? What problem do you have that only God can solve? Lay it at His feet. Believe He's in full control, and ask Him to get glory for it. Then sit back and watch Him work.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.